Jeff is unemployed and lives in his mom's basement.
You know you're supposed to say hello when you pick up the phone.
Yeah, I know. I thought that maybe you were somebody else.
But when he goes out to run an errand, he bumps into his brother, whose wife appears to be having an affair.
My wife is having an affair! We don't know that yet. Let's follow this and see where it leads. Oh.
I hate my kids right now. I don't know when that happened. They were so cute.
Together, they find the truth and Jeff's true destiny in Jeff Who Lives at Home.
I was hearing about Jeff Who Lives at Home on NPR, and it sounded like a very interesting movie. You both have just seen it. What'd you think?
Jeff, who lives at home and who is played by Jason Segel, gets a call at the beginning of the movie from someone who demands to speak to Kevin. Now, Jeff's never heard of a Kevin, but the person on the other end of the line is adamant that he speaks to a Kevin. And Jeff, who thinks that there are no coincidences in life, takes this as a sign that he has to find his destiny and that it'll probably involve a Kevin somewhere.
The truck came here. Now you're here?
I was meant to have a meeting with Destiny.
Of course, that leads him to his brother, who's not named Kevin. He's actually named Pat. Played by Ed Helms. And Pat is having trouble with his marriage.
Pat!
Wait, just,
no.
Okay, whoa. You don't just start with no.
Is.
Don't start with no.
Jason Segel's character takes it upon himself to basically help out Pat in finding his wife and saving his wife's marriage. It's a sweet little story about two brothers who come together. One is this kind of lovable loser type searching for some destiny, and the other is Pat, who doesn't necessarily care about destiny. He just wants to save his marriage. And the two of them working together, it's a very nice little script.
Yeah, they have interesting conflicts that make for a lot of great scenes. Just seeing these two characters hang out together is fun.
We start out with the Pat character. He's not shed in the greatest light. I mean, he basically is lying to his wife. She doesn't want him to buy a Porsche. He buys a Porsche anyway. He's like, hey, surprise, now you're gonna love it, right? Of course, she doesn't.
She doesn't love it.
Just trying to be a grown-up about this.
Surprise.
And then we're supposed to root for him along the way.
I think that's one of the strengths of the movie, that it presents these pathetic characters, Pat, who's in this loveless marriage now, and Jeff, who still lives at home. He's 30 years old and just smokes weed every day and does nothing and has these rambling thoughts about his destiny. But it has something in it that makes you root for these pathetic characters, and you enjoy their company, and you want them to do well. And when bad stuff happens, you're mad.
It sounds like the acting is pretty solid. It sounds like they've got a decent chemistry together.
Jason Segel surprised me a little bit with this movie. He's still playing this sort of lovable loser type that we saw him play in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And here, he's self-analytical. You see him trying to break away from the shell. He's not in a comfort zone like some of his other characters have been.
Well, he sort of seems depressed for a lot of this movie. And Jason Segel, I mean, last movie he was in, he was with Muppets, so he was happy the whole time.
He's a fluffy, happy man.
Yeah, exactly. This is a really, a very charming, small movie. It's not an edgy, in-your-face comedy where they're shoving jokes at you. Susan Sarandon plays Jeff and Pat's mom. And she feels a little underused. She spends a lot of the movie in conversations with her computer screen. She has a secret admirer at work. And it's a storyline that doesn't weave into the other characters and doesn't really involve them. And so sometimes it feels like when we cut to her, we're cutting to like a smaller mini-movie.
Like a satellite story.
I also felt that it was predictable, though. You have her given a secret admirer, and she's trying to discover who in the office is the secret admirer.
There's really only one other character.
You can pick it apart like a slasher film, you know? It's like, well, who did it? Well, if we really eliminate all the characters that it could be, we're only left with a single character.
So, the Duplass brothers wrote and directed this film. They're the same people who did Puffy Chair, Cyrus, Baghead.
The Duplass brothers are sort of stuck in this semi-documentary style with a lot of zooms and whip pans. I think they need to drop it, because there are times when we're in an emotional scene and then we'll zoom in on one character and all the emotion of the scene is just kind of ripped from it. They're stuck in this mode where they want to say, we're making an indie picture, and that's the vibe they bring to it, but it's not necessary.
It does make the scenes more exciting. I certainly feel Susan Sarandon chatting on her computer is made more entertaining by those sort of quick cuts and zooms. It sometimes does get a little distracting.
And these are good actors, you know? They can just let them play. They don't need to say, hey, look at this.
Your Porsche is tiny.
Porsche's normal sized. You're a Sasquatch.
Are those workout gloves? I don't think so. They came with the car.
You know, I laughed at the first line of this movie, which is a bit of a surprise because I rarely laugh at the first line of any movie, and then I didn't really laugh for the rest of the picture.
Yeah, I sat next to you and I thought you hated it. I thought the movie was going to end and you were going to say that was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
I just don't think that it's necessarily meant to be funny.
It's not like a laugh out loud movie.
I thought it was very funny. The movie never lets itself get too serious. Even in the really serious scenes, it always undercuts it with comedy, and they try to keep that comic spirit.
Sounds like you both like this movie. Let's take it to a vote and grab your tickets.
Despite some poor camera choices, Jeff Who Lives at Home is charming and whimsical with great performances, and it finds its footing in a satisfactory way. See it.
This is a fun, charming movie that just might help you find your destiny, the same as it did Jeff Who Lives at Home. See it.
Well, that is 2 tickets, which is a definitive see it for Jeff Who Lives at Home.
Cheers to Jeff.
Who Lives at Home.
Jeff, comma.
Who Lives at Home.